All right, let's talk about this, shall we? Let's get into this because I don't have enough time. So, hey, how you doing? All right, so with this, I'm going to talk about the legacy of the Bible and of the people that came before us before we are in the times that we're in now. All the prophets and all the people of the days for us to be in her latter days, as Daniel would say. So start with Adam and Eve. Then you have our grandfather, who is Enoch. You have Noah, who had Ham and Cush, his sons. You have Abraham, Isaac, Jacob and Esau, Moses. Now, I'm saying it will not be in line. So you know what Abraham did. Abraham's the one that started a covenant of for men to cut off the extra flesh. So it's saying if you're Gentiles or you're Palestinian, it doesn't matter what nation you follow. Once you serve the Hebrew God and you cut off your extra flesh and believing in Yahshua and in Yahweh, you automatically become an Israelite, not by birth, but by faith. And then you have Isaac, who had Jacob and Esau. Well, we know about the fight that they have. They've been fighting since the womb. But Jacob's the one that made the 12 tribes of Judah. We know that by Jacob's ladder. And you have Moses. I'm saying I'm not going to go in line. And you know Moses, the one that had the 10 Commandments for us to follow. Then you have Daniel. You have Micah. He's the one that prophesied for Yahshua to be here. You know, you have Saul, who God blessed and did his own thing. King Solomon, who God blessed and he did his own thing. David, with Yahshua was supposed to come in line, but he came later on, but to figure out David's nephew was the one that carried out in the bloodline. So Yahshua was still in the bloodline of David. Isaiah, you have Ezekiel, Zechariah, Elijah, Malachi, Peter, Paul, John the Baptist, and Yahshua. There's more, but these are the one that stands out for us to even have a Bible. And each one have their own storyline, but they're all connected. You see what I'm saying? Because even when back in the days of Babylon and Zechariah was a prophesied back then, and Malachi. So it's telling you these people that came before Yahshua made it to a point that Yahshua could be here. You see what I'm saying? Because if Isaac didn't have Jacob and Esau, we wouldn't have the 12 tribes of Judah. And brothers and sisters, we are from one of these tribes. Like, if you don't know who the tribes are, let me see if I can explain it to you. You have Oh, these are, this book has so much writing in it. I need to line this out. I have my own notes that I write when I read the Bible. So you have the Benjamins. I don't want to say the names wrong. The Colatites, the Manasseh, Azakor, Asher, Naphtali, Bashan, Reuben, Gad, Zebulun, Simeon, and Ephraim. I'd probably be jumble up all those names, but that's the 12 tribes of Judah. And we are from one of these tribes. I don't know in the midst when when Babylon and the Pharaoh of that time went in there and captured the children and send them off back in slavery. Some were killed, some were crucified, some were beheaded, but some went into slavery, where you and I come in. Okay, so now that you know about that, we need to go in more details. And I said, I have a couple of scriptures that we should revisit that could help us to understand more. So in 2 Chronicles 36, it tells you about the captivity of Israel. For each king that came to rule in Israel, for some reason, Nebuchadnezzar have bids with them. And all of them turned their evil unto God. All of them. And here it says in 13, and he also rebelled against the king Nebuchadnezzar, who had made him swear an oath by God. But he stiffened his neck and hardened his heart against turning to the Lord God of Israel. Moreover, all the leaders and the priests and the people transgressed more and more according to all the abominations of the nations. And they defiled the house of the Lord, which he has consecrated in Jerusalem. As you can see it right there. They all made a mockery of God. And in 16, and they mocked the messenger of God, because God sends a messenger and a prophet to his people because he cares so much for us. But in 16 it says, but they mocked the messenger of God, despised his word, and scoffed at his prophets until the wrath of God arose against his people, till there was no remedy. Therefore he brought against them the king of Shandain, who killed their young men with the sword of the house and sanctuary, and had no compassion on the young man or virgin, on the aged or the weak. He gave them all into his hands. There you go, right there. It shows Let's continue. And all the articles from the house of God, great and small, the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king and the leaders, and all these he took to Babylon. Then they burned the house of God, broke down the wall of Jerusalem, burned all its palaces with fire, and destroyed all the precious possessions. So this is what I was talking about when at that time of Babylon came into Jerusalem, into Judah, and went on a rampage. In 21, to fulfill the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land has enjoyed her Sabbath. As long as she lay desolate, she kept the Sabbath to fulfill 70 years. So this goes back to the dream with Nebuchadnezzar. Because before what I just read in 21, let's read 20. Just to clear it up. And those who escaped from the sword he carried away to Babylon, where they became servant to him and his sons until the rule of the kingdom of Persia. Because right after Nebuchadnezzar, Persia, then it was Greek. To say Greece. And then it was Greece, and then Rome, and after Rome, and then it was the Europe that invade with Rome. So they're combined together for the latter days. We're in the latter days now. So you understanding that it explains what's going on then to see what's going on now. All right, so in Nehemiah 8 and 9, it shows a lot. When you have the time, you should go read it. But the part that stands out, verse 16, but they and their fathers act proudly, hardened their neck, and did not heed your commandments. They refused to obey, and they were not mindful of your wonders that you did among them. But they hardened their necks, and in their rebellion, they appointed a leader to return to their bondage. But you are God, ready to pardon, gracious, merciful, slow to anger, abundant in kindness, and did not forsake them. Let's continue. Even when they made a mold calf for themselves and said, this is your God, and brought you out of Egypt, and worked great provocation. Yet in your mindful mercies, you did not forsake them in the wilderness. The pillar of cloud did not depart from them by day to lead them to the road, nor the pillar of fire by night, who showed them the light, the way they should go. You hear that? No, this is where you should take heed. But after they had rest, they again did evil before you. Therefore you left them in the hands of their enemies, so they had dominion over them. Yet when they returned and cried out to you, you heard from heaven, and many times you delivered them according to your mercies. There's more. When you have the time, you should read Nehemiah 8 and 9. It explains the laws and how we came to the hands that we're in now. Wow, I'm shook. Get ready for part 2.